Welcome back. In today's video, I want to talk about how to make contacts in the industry when you don't know anybody. And this sort of stems from seeing all the comments on Fstoppers, Petapixels, YouTube, that sort of thing. People going, yeah, it's great, but they know so-and-so. Their dad works for this agency, their mum works for this marketing team, whatever it may be. And you're right, that does help. Who you know is everything. If you don't know the right people, you are not going to get the job. But that is not to say that if you don't know them today that you can't get to know them. And I come from probably a very similar background to a lot of you. My dad worked in a factory, my mum did sort of odd jobs. I don't have that grounding in the sort of high-end managerial world or the creative world. If I asked my mother what a creative director was, she wouldn't know. And that's fine because it's not her world. And that's just the way my life is. I don't know these people. I didn't even know what agents were for a long time. You know, it's a very alien world to where I come from. So I've had to start from the bottom of knowing nobody and work my way up. And obviously over time it has worked and has made a successful career for myself. Or at least what I call a successful career. I enjoy myself. It's quite fun. I hang out with my cat in a studio all day. Can't really grumble. Anyway, that's by the by. I'm going to give you some advice on how to do this. Now, before you get too excited, this is not a quick fix. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. This is going to take you a decade. This is a lot of work to put in there. And as is most of my things, I always say it's going to take a decade, and they usually do. So I'm going to give you a practical thing that you can do right away to help you gain contacts. It is really simple, and it is Instagram. But it's not gaining followers or getting likes. It's a little bit smarter than that. The first thing you need to do is get on the old Google. And we Google all of the potential clients that we have. So if you're in the commercial world like myself, you might look for every ad agency in your city. Okay, the next thing you do is you follow all of their social media accounts and you make sure you're engaging with them, interacting with them, maybe for a week. Not nasty spam bossy kind of stuff, but like, you know, genuine interaction. Show some interest. After that, you then find the people who work for them. And that's everyone from receptionists to the directors. And you find them and you follow them on Instagram too. And you find them by going onto LinkedIn normally or onto the staff pages. And you do a little bit of stalking. It's a little bit weird at first, but that's what marketing is. If they've got a private account, don't follow them. That is just really weird. But follow them, and you've got to consistently now publish your work onto your Instagram in the hope that they follow you back at some point. And this means that when you then go to the next phase, which is the phone calls and the emails, which I'll do a completely separate video on where I'll actually do the phone calls and emails for you to see, that means that when you're getting to that stage, they go, oh, this image in this portfolio here looks like something I've seen before. I don't know where I've seen it, but I do recognize it. They must be pretty well known if I recognize their work. And it sort of works from there. I've got a scratchy eye. Now, this is obviously a very long-term game, but the whole thing is a long-term game. If we take, for example, where I am now, I have just signed at the back end of last year for a top agent. I'm very proud of myself, so there was a pat on the back / a couple of drinks. But anyway, up until that point, I'd been rejected for 4 years, 5 years, maybe 6 years by agents. And I say rejected, it starts off with just not even a response. Then you get the generic response, which is kind of like, oh, that's better than no response. And then you get a personalized response, which is like, this is good. They're actually interested, but they can't take me on for these reasons. And then all of a sudden, instead of you contacting them, they all contact you, and it's a very different ballgame. But yes, and that takes time. So I had a manager at first after working by myself a bit, and I paid them, and they worked with me, and this was a lady called Angie. She was very nice, very friendly, very helpful, got me off the ground, kept me in check. So I was in a bit of a partying phase of my life back then, and did a great job up until the point where I could no longer justify having her, and I needed somebody who knew the industry a bit better. So I moved to a new agent, and I got him because I was doing lots of work, and one of his clients was involved with a job with me, and I was so far behind on delivering it, which is not a great story going, oh yes, I was doing such a bad job that they signed me, but I was so far behind because I was so busy, and they were like, let me take care of this. You're having a nightmare doing it all yourself. I'll represent you and babysit you for a few years until you find someone more suitable. And that's kind of how it worked, and it is baby steps, and you're not going to have an overnight success, although every now and again I get an email from somebody saying, I did this yesterday and I got booked for a huge job straight away. That does happen, but don't expect it. Give it a year. And this is where you need to start planning. And I'm going to do whole videos, you know, what you should do in a working day, in a working week, a working month, how you should plan your time, your marketing, and all that sort of stuff, because it's the month for doing that, especially now in the UK as we're all on lockdown. So that's kind of what I'm going to suggest for you for now. And this is the sort of theme of the whole year for these YouTube videos. I'm going to be hopefully giving you practical information that you can then use to help create a career in photography, or just enjoy the videos. I've just rebuilt my studio, so I'll be doing a studio tour once it's finished. I've currently got about 3 skips loads of rubbish in here, so although it's done, you can't see it. But yes, and this is obviously my new background. I've got a new Godox light, which they sent me. I've got new microphones, and it's all battery powered, so I don't have mains plugs everywhere. And hopefully this means I can make it a little bit more work, and the audio's a bit better because in here it's not as echoey. And anyway, I'll go into more of this in a separate video if you want to hear about it. But if not, then you've probably switched off by now. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you want to learn more practical tips for photography, do let me know in the comments below. Do hit subscribe, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.